Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily Quiz for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 25th September today, and in this video we are going to derive prelims based questions from these articles which are on this slide, which were actually taken from the newspapers. Before we start our discussion, I would like to introduce this initiative to you guys if you are the first time visitor of this channel. Every day we discuss three types of questions in this video. The first set of questions are from the current affairs. We take up the most important articles from the newspapers. We break them down into the simplest language possible and derive prelims based questions from those articles so that it will give you the idea how the questions could come from the current affairs how the questions could come from the news articles with respect to your prelims preparation. So this is one set of questions which we discuss here. The another set of questions which we discuss here is from the static topic. If you had followed us, you would definitely know that we had started discussing static topics here, and we had started with Indian polity, and right now we are discussing the citizenship in Indian context. And today we are going to derive some basic concepts with respect to the citizenship and derive some prelims based questions on those concepts. At the end of our session, we will discuss few previous year questions too, so that it will give you the proper idea how the questions do come in the exam and what can be the methods by which you can solve those questions, and also how to implement that knowledge in your upcoming exams. So this is all about this initiative. I would like to request you one thing before we start our discussion, and that is please do note down these questions somewhere, or at least take the screenshot of these questions. It would be very much important and useful for you. When your exams would be near and you would want to cover your current affairs, and it would be really hectic for you, as I had been the aspirant myself. It was not easy for me to cover the current affairs of the whole year. But here, if you have these questions with you, what you will do, you will just revise these questions would definitely connect you with your current affairs, and also it will boost your confidence before entering the exam hall, as you had solved many questions, and it will definitely help you in clearing your prelims. And also, who knows, maybe many questions will coincide with these questions which we discuss here, as our concept is taking questions from the current affairs and static topics. Who knows, many questions may get, many questions would be near to each other. So please do note down these questions and also watch the full video. It would be very much interesting for you, trust me on that. It would be, if not interesting, but it would be very much helpful for you. Sometimes what we do, we'll just click on the video and don't watch the full video because we get bored of that video. That does not feel that much encouraging to us. But trust me, if you will watch the full video, it will definitely help you in your preparation. So with this, let's start our conversation. Let us start our discussion. The first article from which we are going to take questions today is the article. It was in the newspaper that Karnataka High Court upholds nod for probe against CM. So what is the issue here? Let's dig a little bit deep into the issue and try to understand the basic concepts which could be asked from this article. Here, what is the issue? There is a government organization in Karnataka, namely MUDA, M-U-D-A. And what is its full form? It is the Mysore Urban Development Authority. So it is the government organization, and its work, what is its work? Its work is in planning and development of Mysore, and also taking care of households of underprivileged people. So what is the issue here? It has been alleged that this government organization, it has acquired land illegally from the people without their consent, without informing them, or without giving compensation to those people for the development of Mysore. So what is the issue? How CM comes into the picture here? It is alleged that it has taken 3.16 acres of land, which was named after the wife of the CM, of the current CM of Karnataka. Now what is the issue? It took it illegally, and in response to that, this MUDA, it has brought up a scheme called Land Exchange Scheme, in which 14 sites were granted were given by this agency to the CM's wife. So 14 sites were given to the CM's wife from this agency. From why they gave that 14 sites to her, because they had taken her land illegally, which is 3.414 hectares, 16 hectares, something related to something near to that. So what is the issue here? So with respect to this, as they had given 14 sites to the CM's wife, now the issue is here of the corruption. Why? There were few activists, they went to the governor and they asked him that they should grant a probe against this granting of land, granting of these sites to the CM's wife, and as there are concerns of corruption here. And with this, what was the Indian legislation which was used is Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, and in it, the section 17A of the Prevention of Corruption Act of 1988 was used. So here comes a question: why does this section was invoked here? Here, the answer to this question is, for example, if you are a public servant and you want to do some work on your official capacity, and there are concerns that it may be used against you. There would be, unnecessary pleas against you with respect to your work. So it gives you this section 17A of the Prevention of Corruption Act of 1988. It gives you the protection against those unnecessary pleas. So for that, what is in it, that if, for example, if you want to, sit out a probe against any public servant, then you have to ask the permission from the higher authority who can, appoint him or who can, suspend him. So for that, here the case is against the CM of the Karnataka, and with respect to this, these petitioners went to the governor's office, as he is the higher authority here. He can, suspend the council of ministries there. He can suspend him. For that, his permission was asked. And with respect to this case, the governor gave his nod, because he, according to him, there is a need to study this case in a proper way. Let us solve the issue here, whether there are concerns of corruption or not from the CM's side. So with respect to this, when this nod was given by the governor, the CM of the Karnataka, he went to the High Court of the Karnataka. He asked them that whether this, he asked 3 questions to the High Court of the Karnataka. And what are these questions? Let us find out. The first question he asked them, whether the governor, whether he should entertain the complaint from a private person. As you know, these petitions were taken up by the private personals. So he asks the Supreme Court that whether governor should take up these cases or not. So what was High Court's order to this? That yes, absolutely, he can take the complaints from the private persons, or that is the main purpose of the section 17A of the Prevention of Corruption Act of 1988. Because, for example, if private persons are not allowed to complain here, then what would be the procedure for them? They have to go to the police station and and set a complaint there. So that if it is not allowed for the private person, it erodes the whole concept of protection to the civil servant. So according to under this section 17, the private person is allowed to complain, and governor has the authority to accept his complaint. Then another question which the Karnataka CM asked to the Supreme Court, that when this land was granted, when this land was granted by Muda to when these 14 sites were granted to his wife, at that time he was not the CM, then how he could be involved in this? How it is under his capacity that he did this? But to this question, the Supreme Court said that you are the CM of the state, and that time you were the deputy CM, and also your son is one of the member of the Muda, so it is the interest, it is the conflicting interest here. So it is important to take up this case. And the third question here, what the Karnataka CM asked the Supreme Court, that the ministry, the council of ministers, and the chief minister, they wrote to the governor that don't take up this this complaint from these private persons, but governor eroded its decision. As here in our constitution, constitution, it is law that governor has to follow the command of the command of the council of ministers. But according to the chief minister of Karnataka, that governor did not follow it. In fact, it went against it. But according to the high court of the Karnataka, they said that it is under the extraordinary circumstances that governor can take the decisions on his discretion. So these things which the Karnataka chief minister asked the Karnataka High Court, they were answered by the Karnataka High Court, and it granted it granted this nod. It upholds the nod for probe against the CM. So this is the whole issue revolving around this case. It is the it revolves around the Anti-Corruption Act. It revolves around the government authority there, which is MUDA, which is Mysore Urban Development Authority, which is a government organization. So with respect to this, I think this is more than enough for you to understand the background of this topic. And in the next slide, we will solve the prelims based questions which can be framed from this article. So I hope you had understood it. I tried my best to simplify it. And now let's move to the another article here. It talks about Apex Code seeks a report on stubble burning from panel on air quality. Stubble burning is one of the major issues with respect to the air pollution in Delhi. We often say that Delhi is highly polluted because of the crackers which they use during the festivals. But that is not the sole reason for the pollution in Delhi, or neither the vehicles they use there. What is the actual what is the major reason for the pollution in Delhi is the stubble burning in the nearby states. For example, Haryana, Punjab, and other states which are bordering Delhi. So here, what is the issue behind this stubble burning? Let's try to understand that. Here in these states, we use combiners. They use combiners for the harvesting. Once they sow the crops, when it is the harvesting time, they use combiners. And what did the combiners do? These combiners are the machines. They don't uproot the crops, they don't uproot this stubble, but they cut the crops, and and also separate the grains, and also clean the grains. They separate the grains and also clean these grains, but this stubble remains there. And also, when this stubble is there, and after sowing, after harvesting this stubble, they have to go for this another crop season, and for that they have very less amount of time, and the best way possible for them is to burn this stubble. So when they burn this stubble, this leads to the pollution. And here what can be the alternatives to this stubble burning? One few of the alternatives are, these farmers, they can use turbo happy seeders, which are machines mounted on the tractors. It does not only harvest the crop, but it also drills the ground. So these can be used. Or government can bring up schemes. They can go for schemes in which they will buy these stubble from the farmers and use it in different ways, for example, for the generation of biomass. Now here the question is, why these farmers are not going for the turbo, why they are not going for the turbo happy seeders? Because of the reason that it is very costly. And majorly in our country, our farmers are majorly either they are low income farmers or marginal farmers. So for them to buy a machine which costs more than 1 lakh is not that much good for them. They will prefer to do the same work by burning the stubble. So they prefer to burn the stubble. So with respect to this, what the government can go, they can go for the Uberization of agriculture, where the private companies could come and they will give these machines on rent to the farmers, and help in solving this issue related to the stubble. So here, what we understood, that what is the how stubble burning can is major cause of the pollution in Delhi. How it can be why this is the major cause? Because of the machines which the farmers use, for example combiners. And what, how it can be eradicated? We can use the turbo happy seeders, which can effectively decrease the stubble. And also with respect to this, the government can also buy this stubble from the farmers for the production of the biomass. So there can be different ways by which we can reduce the stubble burning and eventually reduce the air pollution. So with respect to this, let us solve a question in the next slide and understand this topic in more progressive way. Then there was another article in the news. It is with respect to the yesterday's article with respect to the child pornography. According to the Supreme Court, even mere possession of a child pornography is an offense, and with respect to that Supreme Court, it gave different verdicts. In fact requested the central government that it should change the name of the child pornography to the different name which we discussed in the last class. And also it discussed about one more issue here. It is about the concept which was highlighted in today's article, is about the constructive possession. For example, in which the Supreme Court said, if you have the possession of a link of a child pornography and you are not deleting it or you are not reporting it to the authority, it comes under the constructive possession, that this link is under your control and it states that maybe in future you can use it, you can share it with others and you can misuse it. So under this doctrine, this child pornography, it was made illegal. Having mere possession of having the child pornography is an offense. And what was the case behind it? It is related to the 28 years old man in Tamil Nadu who had downloaded 2 pornographic videos. So it revolved around that case, which we discussed in yesterday's class in a proper way. So this is a little update on it. In here, what we understood about the constructive possession. For example, if you have some site or some link of any child pornography and you are holding it, you are not deleting it, and you are not even watching it, but still it is an offense because you can use it in the future. So this is about the constructive possession. Now the another article here was about the national credits framework. It is one of the important aspect of the national education policy of 2020. It is implemented in the higher education policy, that it acts as an academic bank of credit. So here what the author tries to say, that usually what we consider in these credits is about our education, how we deal with our education, how many marks we get. It is all about the education. But what about those activities which we do apart from the education? For example, extracurricular activities. For example, you are involved in any sports or anything else. So according to author, they should also be continued in the national credits framework. For those activities also credit should be given. So this is the sole idea about this article, and with respect to this we will solve a prelims based question and understand it more properly. After that, there was a news article about the Security Council's reform, in which it is a very important article. We have United Nations document, as it has mentioned that there should be the Security Council's reform. It is the first time the United Nations document has mentioned that there should be the Security Council's reform. If we know about the United Nations organization, its principal objective of the United Nations organization is to prevent the World War III, or to prevent the wars in the world, go for the peaceful resolution of the conflicts. But this is the principal idea about the United Nations. About United Nations, the supreme authority is with the United Nations Security Council, and about it we have 5 permanent members. They have the veto powers, and with respect to who are those 5 permanent members in the United Nations Security Council, it is US, UK, Russia, France, and China. So here are concerns that these countries do not contain the whole world. Right now, when this United Nations Security Council was formed, it was in 1940, 1948. That time, this situation, the geopolitical situation was different. Right now, the geopolitical situation is different. India is one of the major powers of the world. Similarly, Germany, Brazil, and there is no representation from the Africa. So India has always stated that there should be reforms in the United Nations Security Council, that more permanent members should be allowed in it. So with respect to this is the idea, and it is the first time that the United Nations document has mentioned that there should be the Security Council reform. After that, there is another article. It is again about the fact checking unit, as it was according to the Bombay High Court, it has made it unconstitutional because it violates Article 19, the freedom of expression. We discussed about the fact checking unit, how it was brought in, how the information and technology IT Act was amended in 2023. We discussed about it. We discussed about the amendment 2023 and how this was brought in the fact check unit, how earlier it was there and how the legalization was given to it, and how this case went to the Mumbai High Court. Earlier there it was heard by two judges and they gave the split verdict about it. Then the third judge was added, and in that judgment it was made unconstitutional. So here one of the reason why it is unconstitutional, because it goes against the doctrine of chilling effect. Because once, for example, if you uphold, what this fact checking unit does, it earlier gave the immunity to the intermediaries. For example, if there is YouTube, if we upload anything there, anything which is against the government, it is not the YouTube which is responsible, it is the person who is. It gave the safe harbor to the YouTube. What this fact check unit will do, it will mark it whether fake, false, or misleading. And if the YouTube does not remove this video, then the YouTube would be responsible. It is in nutshell. So this legalization of the fact check unit was made unconstitutional by the Bombay High Court, because it goes against the spirit of the free expression. And what the reason given is the doctrine of chilling effect. For example, if the government organizations will start doing that, it will definitely curb all the voices in the country, and nobody would even start talking about, nobody would even criticize the government policies. So it will leave the chilling effect on the people, on the organization, on the intermediaries. So this is the main reason why it was cancelled, why it was it was made it was proclaimed unconstitutional by the Bombay High Court. So this is the nutshell of this fact checking unit. We had already discussed it, and with respect to this we will solve another question. Then another article is about the Supreme Court considers plea on sub-quota classification. We discussed about this in the month of July. We took many classes with respect to that, how 7 judges bench gave the majority decision on the sub-quota classification. So with respect to this, the review petition has been filed. What do we know? Here we need to know about the review petition. It should be filed within the 30 days of the judgment. One thing we should know about that, about the review petition, it should be filed within the 30 days of judgment. It would be, this review petition, it would be heard by the same judges. They will decide whether to accept or reject this review petition. And what are the grounds to accept this review petition? There are 2 grounds. The first, if new facts have emerged, then this review petition can be accepted, or if the issue has been pointed out, if any concerning issue in the judgment has been pointed out, then the review petition can be accepted. So this is all about the review petition, and with respect to this we will solve a question in the next slide and get more idea about it. Then we will discuss few concepts related to the citizenship, and finally derive some previous year questions. So this was all about what was in the news. I hope you got it, you got the basic idea about it. The core concept of this video is to give the basic idea about what is in the news and solve the questions with respect to that. Now let us start discussing the questions one by one. Here the first question is, with reference to the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, consider the following statements regarding section 17A. Why we had taken direct question on that? Because there is definitely a need of a direct question, because as it is in the news, this can be asked. What is this section 17A. Now, what are the statements? What does the question ask us? It says, with reference to the Prevention of Corruption Act of 1988, consider the following statements. What is the first statement? It says, Section 17A mandates prior approval from the appropriate authorities before initiating an investigation against a public servant for offences under the Act. 100% correct. We need the prior approval from the appropriate authority. Usually the authority should be, the one which can hire him or which can suspend him. So this statement is 100% correct. Nothing wrong with this statement. Then this another statement, it says the provision is aimed at protecting public servants from frivolous or motivated complaints. 100% correct. It gives the protection to the public servant from frivolous or motivated complaints. So with respect to this question, both the statements are correct, and from the code given below, the correct code would be option C, which is A and 1 and 2. Now with this, let's move to the another question here. The question says, which of the following statements correctly describe the impact of stubble burning? We had seen this issue. We discussed it with respect to the stubble burning in little bit detail. Let's try to understand what are the, correct impacts of the stubble burning. The first part, it says it contributes significantly to air pollution, 100% correct, and respiratory diseases mainly in children and adult in old people. This is 100% correct. Nothing wrong with this statement. Second statement, stubble burning improves soil fertility by adding nutrients back into the soil. No, it is not the stubble burning which improves the soil fertility. If stubble is buried into the soil, it can increase the soil fertility by adding the nutrients. But when we burn the stubble, it degrades the nutrients in it, and it can decreases the fertility of the soil. So statement 2 is incorrect here. Coming to the statement 3, it says it leads to the loss of biodiversity in agricultural ecosystem. 100% it can lead to the loss of biodiversity in the agricultural ecosystem. This is also correct. Coming to the statement 4, it says the stubble burning can cause economic losses due to decreased crop yields in subsequent seasons. 100% correct. Nothing wrong with this statement. It can lead. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 3, and statement 4. And from the code given below, the correct code is option B. With this, I hope you had understood the first two topics. First topic, it was related to the as the Karnataka High Court has given nod to the probe against the CM, and in this we understood about the stubble burning and its impacts with respect to the Delhi in when we discussed it, and in this question we had understood the impact of the stubble burning overall on the agriculture. Now with this, let's move to the another question here. It says, it is with respect to the POSCO Act. It says, which of the following statements regarding the protection of children from sexual offences, POSCO Act 2012, is are correct. So here what we understood from the question itself, that it was introduced in 2012. Now let's look at the statements. We solved a similar type of question in the last class too, but here we had brought some different points too. The first statement says the POSCO Act provides for the establishment of special courts for the trial of offences against children. 100% correct. Nothing wrong with this statement. Statement 2, it says the act defines a child as any person below the age of 18 years. 100% correct. Nothing wrong with this statement. Statement 3, under the POSCO Act, let's try to understand it. Under the POSCO Act, the consent of a child is a valid defense for offences involving sexual act. No, it is incorrect, because the consent of a child is not valid. So this statement becomes incorrect. Whether a child gives consent for the sexual act, whether if a person below the age of 18 gives the consent for the sexual act, that is not valid, because a child can't give the consent with respect to the sexual intercourse. So statement 3 is also incorrect. Coming here to the statement 4, it says the act mandates mandatory reporting of child sexual offense by all individuals. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. And from the code given below, and statement 4, sorry, and from code given below, the correct code is option B. So with this, I hope you had understood the POSCO Act in more detail and the context behind it, which we discussed in the news with respect to the doctrine of constructive possession, which we discussed when we discussed about the news article which was in the news. Now with this, let's move to the another question. It says it is about the national credit framework, you know, under the new education policy 2020. Let us see what the question says. It says, which of the following statements regarding the national credit framework under the new education policy 2020 are correct? First statement, the NCF aims to promote flexibility and mobility in the education system, 100% correct, by allowing credits to be earned through various modes of learning, 100% correct, whether online or offline, 100% correct. Statement 2, it established a uniform credit system applicable to all levels of education, including higher education and vocational training. This statement, if we will look it in a detail, it seems correct. It seems incorrect because it says it established a uniform credit system applicable to all levels of education. This all levels of education is something which can be incorrect here. And also including higher education and vocational training, it does not include vocational training in it or other curricular activities, so this is incorrect. This statement is incorrect. Coming to the third statement, it says the NCF includes provisions for the integration of skills and vocational education into a mainstream education. 100% this national credit framework, it includes provisions for the integration of skills and vocational education into mainstream education, so this statement is also correct. Coming to statement 4, the framework is intended to enhance the employability of students by ensuring that the credits are aligned with industry needs, 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 3 and statement 4, and here the correct option is option C. With this, let's move to the another question. The another question, it is with respect to the United Nations Security Council. Let us see what does it ask us. It says, which of the following statements regarding the United Nations Security Council are correct? The first statement, the UNSC has 15 members, 100% correct, of which 5 are permanent, and permanent members with veto power, 100% correct, nothing wrong with this statement. Statement 2, the UNSC is responsible for establishing peacekeeping missions and sanctions, 100% correct, nothing wrong with this statement. Statement 3, all the member states of the United Nations are eligible to be elected as non-permanent members of the UNSC, 100% correct. Statement 4, the decision of the UNSC are binding on all member states of the United Nations, 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is option C, which is 1, 2, 3 and 4. So with respect to this United Nations Security Council, I hope you had got the basic idea, and we also discussed who are the permanent members in the United Nations Security Council and why there is a need for the for the reform in the United Nations Security Council. With this, let's move to the other question here. It says it is about which of the following statements regarding the doctrine of chilling effect are correct. We discussed it in the fact check units why it was banned, and one of the reasons given by the Supreme Court is the doctrine of chilling effect. Let's try to understand it. The first statement says the doctrine is primarily concerned with protecting free speech, 100% correct, and expression from governmental overreach, 100% correct, nothing wrong with the statement. Statement 2, it asserts that laws or regulations that impose penalties on speech can discourage individuals from exercising their rights, 100% correct. Statement 3, the chilling effect is only applicable in the context of the criminal law. No, it is in the context of the criminal as well as civil law. So statement 3 is incorrect. Coming to the statement 4, it says courts can use the doctrine to invalidate laws that unduly restricted free expression, 100% correct, as it has been used in the recent judgment with respect to the Bombay High Court and fact check unit. So statement 4 is correct. With respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 2 and statement 4, and from the code given below, the correct code is option B. Now with this, we complete today's discussion. Now here we have one more question with respect to the current affairs. Here the question is about the review petition. Let's try to understand the question. It says which of the following statements regarding review petition in the Supreme Court of India are correct. So let's try to understand these points here. The first statement, it says a review petition can be filed against any judgment or order passed by the Supreme Court within 30 days, which is not mentioned here, but still this option is correct. Statement 2, it says review petitions are heard by the same bench that delivered the original judgment. 100% correct. They only accept it or reject it. Third statement, the grounds for filing a review petition include errors apparent on the face of the record and any other sufficient reason. 100% correct. Whether there is any error in with respect to the judgment or any new evidence has been found out. So this review petition can be accepted. So statement 3 is also correct. Statement 4, the filing of a review petition automatically stays the operation of the original judgment. No, it is totally incorrect. The original judgment can be only stayed when the court says so. The filing of review petition does not automatically stay the operation of the original judgment. So statement 4 is totally incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 2 and statement 3 only, and from the code given below the correct code is option B. So with this we complete today's discussion with respect to the current affairs. Now let's move to the another part of our discussion, which is the citizenship. And we have to understand citizenship today. Let's try to get the basic idea about these concepts which we need to know with respect to the citizenship. Get the basic idea about these points here. Who is the citizen? Citizens are the political community of the country who enjoy right to vote, who enjoy every right which is given to them, who enjoy every fundamental duty, who enjoy every directive principles, who enjoy the legal, who enjoys every restriction or every freedom given to them in a country, who is a legal political who belongs to the legal political community of the country, who can vote and other a citizen is the one who is from the country, who has right to vote, who represents the political community of the country. In nutshell, this is the basic definition of citizen. Then here comes the another concept with respect to who it is about the NRI. So let's understand who is this non-resident Indian. Who are these non-resident Indians? For example, some of you will go outside the country and you will start working there. And for example, you stay outside the country for more than 182 days, then you are the non-resident Indian. You belong to this category that you are an NRI. So are there any restrictions on you? There are very few restrictions in a very constructive way. You are considered the citizen. You can vote. For voting, you have to come to the country and vote there. You enjoy all the rights except a few taxes which you have to give or from which you don't need to give. So there are some exceptions of rights, very few in number with respect to the NRI, but you are the citizen of India, you can vote. Then comes the another concept. It talks about the persons of Indian origin. Who are these persons? These persons are those who were once whose parents or grandparents or they were the citizens of India. We can say they are ex-citizens of India. Now with respect to these persons of origin, we have the persons of Indian origin card. For example, one would like to buy this card and other person does not like to buy the card. So what is the difference? One who buys the card is almost like the NRI. He becomes very much similar to NRI, except he can't vote or accept some political rights. He is not a citizen. If PIO card you can re-engage with India, you can buy the property here, but there are certain restrictions with it. So if you are a person of Indian origin, you enjoy certain rights with respect to with respect to the citizens. You are not totally if you have this card, you have the person of Indian origin card, you enjoy money rights which are very similar to the NRIs, except you can't vote. So then comes here the concept of refugees. Who are these refugees? They are the persons who had who went away from their country because there were concerns of their assassination, or there is some civil war there. So you went away from your country and seeked asylum in different country. You become the refugees. And there are some laws which support you. There are some rights which you also enjoy, but they are very much different. And there are international organization, international laws which support your support your freedom and support your rights. Then comes the concept of illegal migrants. These are those migrants who had migrated to our country without any visa or without any passport. They had illegally migrated. They had either migrated from the borders or any other way. So they are the least respected people in our country. And there are some, they also enjoy few rights which we will understand when we go further in detail when we will go further in detail with respect to this citizenship, with respect to this topic. Then here comes the another concept. It is about the stateless citizens. This is one of the you know these are those citizens who do not have any state. For example, I will give an example here. For example, we have the people from Gaza right now. If right now, if it is controlled by Israel, they won't be the citizens. It would be hard for them to be the citizen of their country. Or people of Syria, or those children who are born of IVF. For example, two persons came, and they belong to different countries. They went for an IVF, and because of some problems, they after that child is born, and they gave up the child. That child becomes the stateless citizen. So here we will understand what are the rights with respect to the stateless citizen. So these are some basic concepts which we need to know with respect to understand this topic in detail. I hope you had understood it, you had got the basic idea. Now let us solve a question with respect to this topic in the next slide. Here the question says, which of the following statements regarding the rights of a non-resident Indians in India are correct? The first statement, it says NRIs have the right to vote in Indian elections while residing abroad. This is incorrect. You can be confused here. Why is it incorrect? As we had understood in the discussion itself that they have the right to vote. But let's look at the question carefully. It says they have the right to vote in Indian elections while residing abroad. No, they had to come to India for voting. So this statement is incorrect. They have right to vote, but for voting they have to come to India. They don't have any special provisions to vote from the abroad. Now coming to the statement 2, it says NRIs can own property in India. 100% true. There are certain restrictions, but here the question is very much general. The statement is very much general, so it becomes correct. Coming to statement 3, it says NRIs are eligible for legal representation in Indian courts without any limitation. 100% correct. Coming to statement 4, it says NRIs are required to file income tax returns in India on their global income. No, they have to file their income tax returns in India with respect to their business in India only, not on their global income. So statement 4 is also incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 2 and statement 3 only. So with this, I hope you had understood the concept with respect to NRIs. And now with this, we had completed our discussion with respect to the static topic. Now let's move to the last part of our today's discussion, which is about the previous year questions. Let's try to understand them. Here the first question says, this is a previous year question. It says, which Indian nationalist leader looked upon a war between Germany and Britain as a God-sent opportunity which could enable Indians to exploit the situation to their advantage? It is very simple and straightforward question. If you have the basic knowledge about Indian leaders, you definitely know the answer. For this question, the correct answer is Subhash Chandra Bose. According to him, the war between Germany and Britain is like a God-sent opportunity which could enable Indians to exploit the situation to their advantage. And this was one of the reasons that there was conflict between Subhash Chandra Bose and Mahatma Gandhi. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is statement C. Coming to the last question of today's discussion, it says, which one of the following leaders of the Congress was totally in favor of cabinet mission plan? So who was in favor of cabinet mission plan? It is Sardar Patel. He was totally in favor of the cabinet mission plan. So with this, we complete today's discussion. I hope you had understood the video. Please do write in the comments what else should we bring for you, and what changes should we bring in our teaching style. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.